We're all swimming in data these days, right? I mean, it's everywhere. And for businesses especially, this whole world of enterprise data, it's, well, it can feel like a tidal wave sometimes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, it's not just about how much data there is. It's also, what do you do with it? How do you keep it safe? All those questions.
Exactly, exactly. How do you even begin to make sense of it all? Because it feels like the challenges are only getting bigger, more complex.
Definitely. And the stakes are so high. We're talking about the lifeblood of a business here, its information, its ability to operate.
Right. A wrong step could be catastrophic. So this time on the deep dive, we're really going deep on solutions for enterprise data. And we're lucky to have StoneFly.com on board with us for this one. They're a company really dedicated to helping navigate this whole data management world.
They've been doing it for a long time, too, which I think is really important in this space. Experience matters.
Oh, absolutely. Over 20 years, they've been working with businesses of all sizes to figure out how to handle these data challenges.
Right.
It's like they've seen it all at this point. And I think for our listeners, that's a really reassuring thing to know. That's why I always say, if you want to learn more, head over to stonefly.com. That's www.stonefly. Or you can reach out to them directly, sales@stonefly.com. They're really there to help guide you through this stuff.
They're a solution company through and through, and they've really been pioneers in this space. If you think about how much the world of data has changed, especially for businesses over the last 2 decades, StoneFly has been there every step of the way, adapting, innovating.
It's impressive, right?
Right.
They haven't just stuck with one thing. They've got their roots in these core technologies, ANS, NAS, S3 object storage. Like those are the foundations of how so much data is handled. But they didn't stop there.
No, not at all. I mean, they're also leading the charge in areas that are so critical these days, like backup and disaster recovery. I mean, that's something every business worries about, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And cloud integration, I mean, that's a whole other landscape that enterprises have to navigate.
Yeah.
And they're right there helping businesses make sense of it. Plus, AI. Everyone's talking about AI. StoneFly is figuring out how to apply that to data management in smart ways. And of course, security, that's got to be top of mind for everyone. StoneFly has a whole suite of advanced security measures to keep data safe. It's like they really do cover the entire spectrum.
They do. It's pretty remarkable when you look at it all laid out. It's a complete, holistic approach, you could say. They're not just trying to sell you one piece of the puzzle. They're looking at the whole picture and how all these pieces fit together to create a data management strategy that actually works.
Okay, so let's zoom in a bit. We keep saying these terms, SAN, NAS, object storage. I think it's worth breaking that down a bit.
Yeah.
For someone who's, maybe not as deep in the tech weeds, what are the real differences there? And how would a business decide, okay, this is the right approach for us?
Sure, yeah. Think of it this way. Say you've got an application, something that needs super fast access to data, like, a database that's constantly being updated. That's where SAN comes in, a storage area network. It's all about speed and efficiency at that block level. So the data is basically right there, ready to go.
Like a direct pipeline.
Exactly. But then you've got other situations, right? Like if you've got teams collaborating, sharing files back and forth, that's where NAS is going to be a better fit. Network attached storage. Think of it like that shared drive everyone can access on the network, more like a digital filing cabinet.
Got it. And then there's S3 object storage, which is one I think a lot of people hear about when they think about cloud storage, right?
Right. S3 is built for when you need massive scalability, especially if you're dealing with unstructured data, things like images, videos, those huge backup files you need to keep somewhere.
So StoneFly's got expertise across all these different storage types, which basically means they can tailor the approach to whatever the business actually needs, rather than trying to shoehorn them into one solution.
Exactly. It's about finding the right tool for the job. They understand different data has different demands, and they've got the experience to figure out what's going to work best.
That's a really important point, because it's not just about the technology itself. It's about understanding how it fits into the bigger picture of how a company uses its data.
Mhm.
Now, speaking of that bigger picture, StoneFly's worked with, it's kind of a mind-blowing list of clients: financial institute, healthcare providers, legal firms, educational organizations, government agencies, manufacturers, media companies. The list goes on.
It really does. You've got everything in there. And I think what that tells us is that they've encountered just about every data challenge you can imagine.
That's a lot of experience to draw from.
It is. And each sector, right, they've got their own unique needs, compliance requirements, security concerns, the way they use data day to day, it's all different. So the fact that StoneFly has worked across all these sectors, it suggests they really understand those nuances. And they can create solutions that are not just technically sound, but also make sense for the specific industry.
So it's a tailored approach, not one size fits all.
Exactly. It's about understanding the specific DNA of a company's data landscape. What are their priorities? What are their vulnerabilities? And then building a solution that addresses those specific factors.
Okay, so we've talked about this breadth of expertise, the tailored approach. But of course, we can't talk about data these days without talking about security, right? Because the threats are evolving so fast.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just the threats themselves, it's how sophisticated they've become. The days of just, putting up a firewall and calling it a day, those are long gone.
Right. You need a much more comprehensive strategy. And that's where StoneFly's emphasis on AI integration and this idea of a cyber-resilient architecture, I think that's really key.
It is, because a cyber-resilient architecture, what that means is they're building their solutions with the understanding that attacks are going to happen. It's not if, it's when.
So you'd have to be prepared.
Exactly. So it's about having layers of defense, built-in redundancies. So even if one part of the system is compromised, the whole thing doesn't come crashing down. And then rapid recovery mechanisms, so you can get back up and running as quickly as possible.
Minimize the damage.
Right. And the AI integration takes that even further, because AI can be used to proactively identify vulnerabilities, spot those weak points before the attackers do, and then detect anomalies. So anything that looks suspicious that might indicate an attack is underway, AI can pick up on that much faster than a human could.
So it's like having this intelligent guardian constantly monitoring your data.
That's a great way to put it. It's always watching, always learning, always adapting to the latest threats. It's a huge advantage in this constantly evolving landscape.
And one of the specific technologies they highlight in this area is their object lockdown technology.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty serious. Can you explain what exactly that is and how it helps protect against, something like ransomware?
Sure. So object lockdown is all about creating immutable backups. Imagine you have a really important document, something critical to your business. Object lockdown basically creates a secure, tamper-proof version of that document.
Like a digital time capsule.
Yeah, exactly. And it's set for a specific period. Once it's locked, no one can change it, no one can encrypt it, no one can delete it. Not even if ransomware gets into your system. It's like putting that document in a vault with a time lock.
So even if the attackers get in, they can't touch what's in the vault.
Right, and this is huge when it comes to ransomware, because that's often the attacker's leverage. They encrypt your data, and then they say, pay us or you'll never see it again. But if you've got these immutable backups, thanks to Object Lockdown, you don't have to play their game. You've got a clean, uncompromised copy of your data that you can restore from.
Okay, so we've talked about the big picture, the philosophy, the tech behind it, but let's get specific. StoneFly has this product, the DR365V. What is that, and how does it bring all these different elements together?
So the DR365V is a really great example of their approach to data protection in action. It's an appliance specifically designed for immutable storage, air-gapped backup, and disaster recovery. Think of it as this comprehensive safety net for your most critical data.
Like the ultimate insurance policy.
Exactly. So you've got the immutable storage, which we just talked about, powered by Object Lockdown, so you know those backups can't be tampered with. But then you've also got air-gapped backup. That's an extra layer of security where you're creating a separation, either logical or physical, between your primary data and your backup copies.
So even if one gets compromised, the other is still safe.
Right. And then on top of that, you've got the disaster recovery capabilities. So this gives you the tools and the processes to get back up and running quickly no matter what happens. Whether it's a technical failure, a natural disaster, a cyber attack, whatever it is, you're prepared.
So the DR365V basically pulls together all these essential strategies into one solution. Now, I know a lot of our listeners are thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but data management solutions, these are big investments, right? What can StoneFly offer to make this more accessible to businesses?
Well, it's a great time to be asking that because they've actually got a special promotion running right now. They're offering a high-performance, fully redundant 70 TB appliance, and this thing can scale all the way up to 4 petabytes. That's a lot of data.
That's a huge amount of data.
It is, and it includes all the features we talked about, the air-gapped backup, the immutable storage, and it's compatible with all the major backup and disaster recovery software out there. Veeam, Rubrik, Commvault, Site Recovery, you name it. And importantly, it's got that object lockdown technology for ransomware protection.
So you're really getting the whole package here.
You are. And the price for all of this is $7,995, which, when you think about the capacity, the redundancy, the security, the integrations you're getting, that's a really incredible value proposition for any business looking to really step up their data infrastructure.
That's definitely worth checking out. Now, zooming out a bit, we've talked a lot about StoneFly specifically, but I think it's important to connect this to the bigger trends we're seeing in technology. I remember reading some interesting insights from BlackRock about this. How does a company like StoneFly, with their focus on data and security, how do they fit into those bigger trends?
Well, BlackRock has been talking a lot about the rise of AI infrastructure and how that's going to be one of the major drivers of economic growth going forward. And they point out this huge surge in demand for all the stuff that powers AI, the hardware, the digital infrastructure, the energy, all of that.
And all that runs on data.
Exactly. AI algorithms, they need massive amounts of data to learn and operate. And all that data needs to be stored somewhere. It needs to be managed. It needs to be secured. We're talking about data centers needing more and more investment just to keep up. And that's where StoneFly comes in. They've got decades of experience in data storage. They're focusing on advanced technologies like AI integration for security and efficiency. And then they have solutions like the DR365V specifically designed for resilient data management. So they're really addressing those fundamental needs that are only going to become more critical as AI becomes more prevalent.
So as companies rely more on AI, they're also going to need to rely more on companies like StoneFly to handle data that powers it all.
Exactly. They're going to need that expertise, that reliability, that security. And StoneFly is really well positioned to be a vital partner in that evolving landscape.
So to sum it all up, StoneFly.com, they're presenting themselves as a real leader in this world of enterprise data management. And it seems like they've got the track record to back it up.
Yeah, over 20 years in the industry. They've seen how data needs have changed, and they've adapted every step of the way. They're not just keeping pace. They're often at the forefront, pioneering solutions in areas that are now crucial for businesses.
And what I find really encouraging is that they're not resting on their laurels. They're clearly focused on the challenges of today and tomorrow. The emphasis on AI integration, on building that cyber-resilient architecture and that object lockdown technology, it shows they're thinking ahead.
Absolutely. And the DR365V, it's a perfect example of how they're putting all that into practice. It's a tangible solution that addresses those core concerns of data protection, backup, disaster recovery, all in one package.
Is there anyone listening who's thinking, okay, this is something we need to address? I think that special offer on the high-performance appliance with all the security features at $7,995, that's something worth looking into.
It's a great opportunity to get a top-of-the-line data management solution at a really competitive price.
So if you're wrestling with these challenges, how to manage all this data, how to keep it safe, head over to StoneFly.com. That's www.stonefly, or you can email them directly, sales@stonefly.com. I think you'll find they're a really valuable resource in navigating this complex world.
And I think the big question this deep dive raises is, how confident are you in your data infrastructure? Can it handle the challenges of today and tomorrow? And if there's any doubt, exploring solutions like the one StoneFly offers, that might just be the key to getting that peace of mind in this ever-evolving digital world.
Food for thought, for sure.
Absolutely.